What's up, J Fusion fans? This is Philip back with another video. Now, this is kind of a sequel to a video I made previously, which talks about whether or not Super Sentai should take a break. And one of the things that I mentioned there is the toys, you know, and this is basically a focus on that aspect of that video that I mentioned earlier. So, before we continue on, I would like to remind everyone that this video is not intended for viewers under the age of 13, so please be advised. So, like I've said in the previous video, if Super Sentai is going to continue on forever, one thing that they must work on is their toys. Now, what I'm seeing here is that, Super Sentai toys are not doing really well. And this episode is also kind of inspired by Kira Major episode 31. Now, Toei is already being criticized with their shows being, like 30-minute toy commercials. And Kira Major episode 31 was exactly just that. So I thought, if Super Sentai uh, would survive in the future, definitely one of the things that they should work on would be their toy line. So there are going to be a few toy lines that I am going to talk about. So brace yourselves for quite a lengthy video. So first off, now we're going to talk about the Henshin devices. Now, so far, I don't have any problems with the Henshin devices. I mean, they're very simple, straight to the point, deluxe Henshin devices that have lights and sometimes sounds, depending on which toys we're talking about. So, for example, the Kirame Changer does have lights and sounds, I believe. What I wanted Super Sentai to improve on would be their deluxe weapons. So, especially if they're trying to sell swords. Now, I love sword based toys and I love swords in general. So, I'm just disappointed that their swords are too short for my liking. I know these are toys that are intended for smaller children, but you know, like I kind of remember the Power Rangers toy line, especially with the uh, Dino Charge and Ninja Steel swords. They do have extendable blades that can make the sword look bigger. I mean, Super Sentai swords would kind of benefit from that, in my opinion. And not only, would it look at least longer, but, no, a bit more appealing, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, with Kamen Rider Saber, for example, they made a huge deluxe weapon with the Dogo Gekido, which is Kamen Rider Buster's weapon slash weapon, so transformation device. So it is quite huge, and like for context, so this is a wooden sword that I have, yes, and that Dogo Gekido is about this length. Now, I'm not saying Super Sentai should make one-to-one scale swords. Well, they did recently with Ryu Soldier, but that would be considered CSM. Well, they could do that, but let's say for regular store releases, I think like they could use maybe just a little bit longer than what they're doing, because I really think they're too small currently. That's going to help, but uh, I think the Kirame shot is a really good, uh, you know, toy in my opinion. I'm just not into guns that much, but like as a toy itself, the I think the Kirame pucks, I call them pucks because they look like hockey pucks. So the discs that you launch with the Kirame shot, I think they're made out of foam, so you don't have to worry about breaking anything or hurting anyone. So that in and itself is already, fun to play with. Just the swords need more work. So speaking of CSM Henshin devices, well, I guess they could do that with additional voices, particularly. Uh, well, probably it depends on what kind of henshin device Bandai would think of, but yeah, CSM henshin devices are okay in my opinion. Definitely cheaper than CSM Kamen Rider toys or henshin devices. That's how I see it. But yeah, I think it would be nice as well. So the second toy line that I'm going to talk about is, now this is, I think, the most important thing that Bandai should work on in terms of Super Sentai toys would be their deluxe robots. Now, recently, a lot of Super Sentai toys or mechs or robots, however you call them, they don't have that much of a deluxe factor. Just like the size of them, but I guess a really, really, uh, you know, bad example of a deluxe Super Sentai Robo in more recent times, in my opinion, is you know Duo King from Geoger, which is basically just three blocks stacked on top of each other. It doesn't have lights. It doesn't have sounds. I mean, like I don't I don't like it at all. Definitely the visuals are not appealing. Like if I were to buy a Duo King, I would have gone for the Mini Pla instead, because with that at least you also have the articulation. So this is one thing that I guess the deluxe uh, Sentai Robos have to sacrifice in order to focus on their combining ability. You can combine them quicker. With the Minipla, you do have to parts form them, like you do have to take away or take apart certain components of the robot and then put them back together in a different way. So you do get the robot. But nonetheless, I actually would prefer the Minipla versions than the deluxe versions so far. Now, one thing that I think deluxe robos can do is have a main component that has the lights and sounds, and probably at least the other components, maybe even limited, probably sounds or lighting. Let's say Kira Meijin could definitely benefit from this, because you do have machine fire, which is the biggest component of Kira Meijin, and there is a lot of missed opportunity there for lights and sounds. I mean, considering that the Kira Major Robo series, they do use a lot of clear parts. You could have slide in a few bits of lights in there. For even for the smaller components, maybe like use a nickel battery to light up or at least give the parts some sound. But definitely there would have been space at least inside machine fire. Now another toy that I remember that actually does this is uh Kyuren O from Kyuranger. So uh Shishired's you know Shishired has his robot. I forgot, sorry, but it's the one that has the lights and sounds. But when you put the other pieces of Kyuren O, they uh they do interact with the lights. So uh, thanks to the see-through and clear parts, they do fit in. They are able to light up, so it works. It's a fun-looking toy in terms of like playability. Although I'm not really a fan of Kyuden-O's looks, to be completely honest. But yeah, at least have that function. So one thing that is interesting for Super Sentai. So let's say, for example, Kira Major. Oh, remote controlled. Yeah, remote controlled robot. So I do remember the V-Rex Robo from Time Ranger. So I think I mentioned this before. So uh it's the only way you can get the V Commander, and then you can control the robot with it. I think it is voice activated. So that's a really interesting feature, but you don't really have to do that. So like an actual remote controlled vehicle, so at least machine fire, you know it would be fun to control him, with sounds, lights, the ability to move at least back and forth, or well, of course, left and right probably, but yeah, even that would be amazing on its own. So the next toy that I am going to talk about would be the Yudo series. Now, for example, so here we now have a sample. So this is Yuso Red. Uh, of course, I put on the Meta Meta Soul armor. So currently, the Yudo series for Kina Major is actually good, because there's one thing that the Kira Major Yudo series has that this one doesn't have, and that's actual waist action. Yes, this is just one piece of torso right there. And I think it's okay for Yudo. Yudos are okay in general, but the problem is you do have to get them as soon as possible, because if you wait, like if you're even just a day late, they're gone. They sell like hotcakes. They sell really fast, and once they're gone, don't expect the store to have them restock anytime soon or ever. I speak from experience. So that's the problem with you those. So once they sell out, it's hard to get them. I mean, you can order them on the internet, but you know, you would be spending extra on shipping. Like, I mean, these are relatively very cheap, and you know, you would probably end up paying double if you ordered at least even just one figure from the internet. So that's something that Super Sentai Bandai should fix. I really remember the frustration when I go to stores and I couldn't find the Udos that I want. But yeah, I at least got this. Now, for Kina Major, however, so one thing that I did notice, and this is actually something that they did with Lupin Ranger versus Pata Ranger when they released the Udos, is that when you buy a Kina Major Udo figure, you only get the figure itself. No accessories whatsoever. If you're going to buy the accessories, you buy them separately. If you want the accessories, you have to buy them separately, which kind of frustrates me even just a little bit. Sorry about that, but yeah, I know. I sh- I know I should stay calm, but yeah. This one, however, like compared to U Soldier, yes, they don't have the waist movement. I know, but when I bought Ryuso Red, it at least came with the Ryuso Ken that you see here. So even if I did, even if I didn't buy the Ryuso armors, uh, this Ryuso Red figure was still playable on its own. It still looks satisfying enough because it had the accessory that it definitely needed. Now, if you're going to buy like a Kira Major figure by itself, well, sure, but without the accessories, it doesn't feel as functional as it should. Like it still feels incomplete to me. So you also have, well, you when you buy the accessories, of course you get all the open hands that come with it, and it's open hands for all the Kira majors. Same thing done, the same thing was done with the Lupin Ranger versus Path Ranger. And, if you're going to buy just one figure, all the other parts end up, as junk. Unless you have, unless you actually want to use them, then by all means go ahead. But for me, yeah, that's just, you know, kind of a dick move there, Bandai. So, you know, that's one thing, At least if you're going to sell the Yudo figures, well, uh, never mind the open hand parts, at least give them the weapons in the set. Maybe sure, you can bump up the price just a little bit, but at least give them a weapon that they can use and not sell everything else in a separate set, and all the other parts that are included in the accessories set are just end up thrown into, not really thrown into the junk. I mean, that's kind of a waste of money. I mean, it's already a waste of money buying you know accessories that you're not gonna need. So if you're going to buy the accessory set, you might as well just buy the entire figure set as well. Like you might as well get all five Kira majors while you're at it. I mean, in that way, you make sure that nothing goes to waste. Every part, every accessory has its use. So yeah. Now, going back to Super Sentai figures, now we are going to move on a little bit. So, still talking about figures, but let's have a Super Sentai figure that functions like an RKF. So, I have here Kamen Rider Claws Charge for reference. Now, you can see here that Kamen Rider RKFs, they do have armors and parts that are very unique. So each RKF is created in its own molding. But for Super Sentai, because of their suits alone, they look much more simple. You don't have to worry about too much about the parts. I mean, sure, the RKFs are sometimes not as accurate, but with Super Sentai suits, it's easier to get that accuracy you want. With you don't need a lot of armors. Sometimes they don't have armors at all. You just need a proper looking suit. You don't need to worry about the back because nobody looks at it anyway. It's not an important part, but you can definitely get the front really accurately. Now, as for parts, so RKFs are known to have interchangeable hands. Like, I'm just going to pop this thing right here and then put it back. So RKFs have the set of hands. So uh, now, I don't mind if they don't have closed fists, because RKF sometimes do have closed fist parts. So this is a grip hand, and a closed fist part is separate. Now, what I want to see would be open hand parts like these, and I mean sometimes even just a simple open hand already makes a dynamic pose. It can already do a lot. So definitely an RKF style Super Sentai figure would be very much appreciated. And with articulation, it doesn't have to be 100%, but at least have this kind of movement in the torso. That is going to be really, really good, even for Super Sentai toy standards. Definitely you know something that I would like to see. And since they you don't need to you don't need to have so many parts, you don't need armor, you can use all that plastic to make the accessories, the weapons, and they don't take so much. Give them a sword, give them a gun, or at least the common weapons that they have, or maybe at least the signature weapon if applicable. But yeah, making a figure like this for Super Sentai, I think it's not just highly possible, but it's something that Bandai should do. Bandai, work on it. Come on. So we're still talking about figures, but let's talk about Super Sentai SHFs. It's been very long since Bandai last released SHFs. I think it was still around the time of Kyoryuger, which is already about 7 years ago when I last heard of Super Sentai releasing SHFs. And all of the SHFs that have come out, I think they really need an updated version. Now, uh, you don't need to release new Super Sentai SHFs yet, but there are definitely Super Sentai SHFs out there that deserve the Shinko Choseiho treatment, such as the Shinken Red SHF, which I think is the very first Super Sentai SHF ever created. So like along with others like Gokaiger, Jetman. Well, for Jetman, they only released the Red Hawk and Black Condor. They should release the other Jetman already. So there's not a lot of Super Sentai SHFs on the market. I think there are still that you can find right now, but definitely there's not a lot released in this Super Sentai SHF toy line, which is a huge waste of potential earning for Bandai. I mean, surely for fans that have the money to spare, if they think that Udos are too cheap, and as of the moment, Super Sentai does not have any figures that resemble RKFs, especially within that price range. RKF style Super Sentai toys, I think they're actually going to end up significantly cheaper than Kamen Rider RKFs, in my opinion, because of the more simplistic style. So yeah, uh, but anyway, going back to the SHF. So yeah, if you do have the money to spare, definitely get a Super Sentai SHF. And Bandai really needs to make new SHFs. Yeah. So for other toys that Super Sentai could possibly make, now I did mention the CSM. Now there are a lot of Super Sentai uh, toys that deserve the CSM treatment. So let's say, for example, Deca Ranger. Ooh, so yeah, Deca Ranger was one of my favorite Super Sentais. So a CSM version of like the SP license, man, that's going to be really nice. Or Time Ranger, you know, a CSM V commander that you can actually scream into, and it will activate using your voice. Of course, there are some certain commands that you have to uh, input vocally, and if you do that, the V commander will react accordingly. That's going to be nice. So what else? Oh yeah. So if you look at Power Rangers figures, one thing that they do that Super Sentai does not is release figures for villains. Now, with the Yudo series, they kind of been doing that, sure. But again, with like this kind of you know, toy, I think you you know, releasing villains would also be very nice. So another thing that I remember Power Rangers doing is that they create uh toys that are, that are exclusive. So kind of remember having the Power Rangers Dino Thunder toys. So the sound action Red Ranger, and he has a weapon that is only unique to that line. So it is like a big gun that apparently has a hand on it. I think it was the left hand, but yeah. So those toys, once you gather all the five Rangers with the exclusive accessories, you can actually put them together and create a sixth Ranger, which is the Phantom Ranger. If I remember it correctly, that would have been really nice. So yeah, uh, it's I think it's something that Super Sentai could do. So creating forms that are exclusive to toys, and uh, I do think like toys that can be interacted with, like I remember Power Rangers playsets. I never had one of those, but yeah, like small figures. Well, at least significantly smaller figures that you can actually create a set, like a diorama style. Oh, that would be nice. That would be really nice. So yeah, those are just some ideas that I think Bandai Toei could do if um, you know we need the Super Sentai to continue, because with the toys you get the funding, and with funding you have more shows, which in turn can create more toys, and the cycle just goes on. So yeah, I hope this video made some sense. So I hope you like this video as well. So if you did, please leave a like, comment, share this video, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JE Fusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.